Hey everyone, it's Robin from Rose and Lily. In this video, we're going to be comparing these 7 types of plush yarn. There are a few more I would like to test, but these are the ones that I could source immediately from various countries. I am waiting on an order of Himalaya Dolphin Baby, as well as Yarn Art Dolce. So if there are any other yarns you'd like me to test, please drop them in the comments. The thickest yarn we'll be looking at is Loops and Threads Sweet Snuggles. This is a jumbo yarn. Then we'll also be looking at Bernat Blanket, Bernat Baby Blanket, Bernat Velvet, Premier Parfait Chunky, Hobbii Baby Snuggle, and James C. Brett Flutterby Chunky. To compare the different yarns, I'll be making a simple ball with each. And I'll include a table with all the results at the end of the video, as well as on my website. I'll put the link to that in the description box. So the first yarn we're looking at is Loops and Threads Sweet Snuggles. Now this is marked as a 7 or jumbo, and they suggest an 11mm. But for amigurumi, I always go smaller, so I'll be using 8mm. The first thing to note is that it's very soft and very thick. And it works up very quickly, so with this 8mm hook, the 24 single crochet ball comes out quite big. As I said before, it's very soft and cuddly. I'd say this is one of the softest yarns of the bunch. And as you can see, it maintains its shape nicely. Next up we have Bernat Blanket, and this is marked as a 6 or super bulky, and the recommended hook size is 8mm. I first tried crocheting with a 6.5mm, but this ended up being too small, so I used the 8mm. So first thing I notice is that the texture is very different from the previous one. It's quite a bit firmer. So here's the ball, and it's quite firm. This is more like a teddy fabric, whereas the Sweet Snuggles was more like a microfiber. Once again, this is quite a big ball, so a piece made using this yarn would land up quite large. Next up we have Bernat Baby Blanket. Now to me this yarn feels exactly the same as Bernat Blanket, and the weights on the packaging are exactly the same as well. Apart from the color, I really can't tell the difference. So once again I'll be using the 8mm hook. So here's the ball with the baby blanket and the blanket side by side, and they're honestly exactly the same. Once again, it's quite firm, more like a teddy fabric. Next up we have the Premier Parfait Chunky. Now this is also marked as 6 super bulky, however it's a fair bit thinner than the Bernat Blanket. This yarn has quite a microfiber texture, and it's also very soft. An 8mm hook is suggested, but I'll use a 6.5. As you can see, the ball's a fair bit smaller, but still really soft. Because this yarn's a bit thinner than the others, I find it a bit easier to work with as well. Next up we have Hobbii Baby Snuggle, and it's also a 6 super bulky, and the thickness feels very similar to the Premier Parfait Chunky. Now this is actually the yarn that I like using the most on my channel, and the reason I like it is that it's very soft. The suggested hook size is 6mm, but I'll be using my 4.5mm. And here's the ball made with this yarn, and it's slightly smaller than the Premier Parfait Chunky and a bit softer, but overall it's very, very similar. Next up we have the Bernat Velvet, and this is marked as a 5 bulky yarn. Now the first thing I notice about this yarn is it's very shiny, and it's still really nice and soft. For this yarn I'll be using a 4.5mm hook. So the ball is a fair bit smaller than the other yarns, but it's got this really nice glossy look to it. It's still soft, but not quite as soft as some of the other yarns. So if you're looking for a bit of gloss to your piece, then velvet is the way to go. The last yarn we're looking at is the James C. Brett Flutterby Chunky. Now this is also a yarn that I use a fair bit on my channel. It's marked as a 5 bulky, and it's slightly thinner than the Hobbii Baby Snuggle and Premier Parfait Chunky. And for this yarn, once again, I'll be using the 4.5mm hook. The ball is smaller than the others. It's still soft, but not quite as soft as Hobbii Baby Snuggle or the Sweet Snuggles yarn. And here you can see all the balls side by side. The largest ball ended up using an 8mm and the smallest all the way down to a 4.5mm. And here I've included the size of a 24 single crochet around ball. So out of all these balls, I'd have to say the softest is the Hobbii Baby Snuggle. The Bernat Blanket yarns are definitely the firmest of the bunch. As I said before, the texture is very much like a teddy fabric. The one with the most shine would be the Velvet. It is really nice how the stitches catch the light. All in all, I would be happy using any of these yarns for my projects. However, my favorite personally would be the Hobbii Baby Snuggle, because it's so soft, yet still really easy to work with. But as I said, I'd be happy using any of these yarns. So I have made a chart summarizing everything in this video, from the yarns, their weights, the hook sizes, as well as the finished sizes of the balls. The full chart can be found on my website. I will be adding to this chart once I test out some more yarns. And as I said before, I'll be making some more videos on these as well. Please let me know in the comments of any additional plush yarns I should check out. Thanks so much for watching, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.